Hi guys, today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to repurpose a chain that's been broken, or just taking a plain pre-made chain that you have already and you just want to make something a little bit fancier with it. So what I've done so far is this is a chain that was broken, and I just added a glass briolette to it, and then did some rondelles as well, and came up with this sort of a design. It's much different than the usual plain chain, and I think it works really well. So let's get started. What I have here is a necklace that has a topaz on it. It's about a 10 by 10 lemon topaz, and so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it right from exactly where I would go. I'm just going to cut this off because I don't need this anymore. And we're going to completely redo this necklace. You're not going to have to do this if you're just starting with a pre-made chain, or just like pieces of chain. So that's all done. And also, ideally, you want to take your clasp off, cut it off, just a link below it, and that way you can attach it back on later on. And because a lot of times when you add these beads, the chain's going to be much longer than you want it to be, so you can always use the chain for other things later on. So that's that, and I'm just going to get the jump ring. That's on the other side. I know this is a tedious part, but I just thought it'd be good just to show you exactly what I would do. So now that that's done, just put that to the side, and I have my lengths of chain, I have my topaz. So now what you want to do is you want to decide about how far away you want your stones to be. So for today I'm going to do about 2 inches. So that means I'm going to cut it at 2 inches. Now I will sometimes, and oftentimes I will, if I'm making it for a special occasion, or if I'm not making it for me, I will count the links just to make sure it's perfect. But right now I'm just using my ruler and cutting these 2-inch lengths. I'm going to only cut about 12, because I also have to keep in mind that I'm going to have the clasp, and I can always cut more if I need to. I'm going to have the clasp, I'm going to have the stone, and I'm going to have rondelles in between. So all of that may bring me up to the 16 inches. But again, you can, after you start to do it, you can just measure each length, and they should be all sort of similar. And then you will have sort of an idea of how many you're going to need. So that's, I've cut those all. Now I'm going to just start with the main focal piece, because that would be where I want it to start, because it's going to hang in the center. If you're not doing a focal piece, then you could just start with the rondelle, but today I'm going to use that. So you're just going to put your wire right through, okay, and have it about, I don't know, a little bit less than ½ inch. And then take your round nose pliers and you're just going to just do a circle. Okay, and I'm doing this sort of awkwardly so you can see sort of what you want to come up with. Okay, and then you're going to do the other side. Try and keep them about the same size. Okay, so you have a long length of wire and then you have the shorter side. Okay, so try and keep them about the same size as I just said. Okay, and give yourself a little bit of space on each end, because you're going to do a few wraps on each end. So if you notice, I have a little space on each end. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first chains, one on each side, and I'm just sliding that on. Then I'm going to wrap it, just grab it, okay, and wrap it around a few times just to secure it. Okay. I'm just going to cut this wire a little bit, give me more, so it's not so in my way. And just wrap it until you have no more wire. And right in there. And then you can use your wires just to finish it off. So one side is done. Alright, now you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side with the other chain. So just slide it on. And then I'm going to just wrap again. And if you notice, it's sort of crooked and so forth, but that's alright. Now if your loop comes out of place when you're wrapping the others, just make sure that you just go back and reshape it, because you want it to be the best possible way, and make sure your chain's pulled up inside of it. And then again, just grasp it and then just wrap around a few times. And try and keep your wraps fairly tight. Just using my pliers because it's a little bit easier to grasp it. The hardest part is just to try and keep that chain out of the way when you're trying to use it, but I'm sure you can do it. Okay, so now it's wrapped a few times. Try and keep the wraps even so that both sides have the same amount of wraps. So I have about 2 here, and I'm going to say that that's fine for me. 2 there as well, and then just trim away that excess. Okay, so now that's done. Now what you're going to do here is lay it down, have a look at it, make sure that your loops are straight. If you notice, they sort of are a little bit crooked, so just kind of straighten them out, and then push anything in that's not quite perfect. There. And what you can do now is you can just sort of pull them out a little bit, and what I'm doing is just guiding them to the side. Okay, and then lay it out like that so that you know that how it's going to hang. So that's done. Now we're going to add rondelles. So I'm just going to start with an initial loop, and I will have a link to another necklace that I made using the same technique just for this adding the rondelles. So just slide it on, and then just close your, it's just a wrap loop is all you're doing. And then push them together, and as many times as you want for the look. It's not really, the only important thing here is to have your loop closed, and that will keep your rondelle in place, and it'll give some more stability to your necklace so it's not going to break so easy. That's why I always prefer to do wrap loops as opposed to open loops. Alright, so where you can use your crimping pliers just to push that all in perfectly. Alright, so now that's done, and I'm going to add a rondelle. And always check your wire against your beads so that it will all fit. Okay, so now that I have my rondelle on, I'm just going to finish that with another loop. Try and keep it about the same size if you can. as the one you made originally. Then take another piece of chain and slide that right on. Right onto your loop again, and close your loop. Just wrap it sort of the same amount of times as you wrap the other one if possible. If not, it's not so essential as long as it sort of looks similar. And then when that's done, you're just going to trim it as close to the base without touching your loop, because sometimes I've cut my loop by accident, and then that would give you your rondelle at it. So now that you've done that, I've actually done the other side as well. So this is what I have so far. So if I'm looking and measuring, this is when you want to measure and go, okay, well, if it's going to be probably 2.5 inches for just the one length. Okay, so then you're going to add that length into your completed necklace. And again, I want to add and that's a 1/2 inch Briolette. So add all those together, and eventually you will get all the numbers you need so that you sort of get a necklace that's very close to where you want it. And you notice they're quite spaced out. I mean, if you want to get them closer, an inch might be even a little bit better, and which I think I will actually do an inch. I'm going to do the rest of the necklace, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like at the end. So I've continued to do it. I shortened it to 1 inch between because I like a little more beads on them. I'm working today with a 3mm apatite rondelle, just to let you know. And now I'm just going to finish off the necklace. So I've got 7 inches on both sides, and as well as that, so I'm getting close to the 16. And even if it's 15, it's fine for me. So now I'm just going to finish it off, and I'm just going to start with a plain loop, as I've been doing all along. And just slide that right on. Then just do your regular wrap. Alright. And then just make sure your loop is straightened. Then slide on your bead. I've had a lot of these crack as I was working with them. Apatite's a lovely bead, but it can be really difficult to work with because it does crack so much. So now I'm just going to do another loop on the other side, and then just slide on the clasp. So I have a jump ring on the clasp, so I'm just going to slide it right on the jump ring and the clasp, and then just close that loop. And again, measure your clasp and everything just to make sure your measurements are right. And it depends upon how specific you want to be in your measurements. Usually a little off is not so bad. So just trim that back. So that's the one side. And now the other side, just going to do the exact same thing. And this concludes the tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.